Wilson, my real name.
Wilson?
That's all right. You call me Willis. I went by that for ever since the day I was born. Until I was 15, went down to the John Crowley and got my birth certificate, and the birth certificate said Wilson.
Well, okay. How would you prefer us to address you?
Pardon?
How would you like to be called just now?
I've always been called Willis.
Okay,
all
so
my life.
Mr. Wilson Robbins, who lives at 39 Glendale, who we're going to call Willis.
Use me Willis, that's right.
And today is June 2nd, 1989. I'm Sue Scheinmer, and we're going to talk about Old Armonk. I gather, Willis, that you were born in Armonk.
I was born in Armonk in 1917. There was 2 houses below the old log cabin, between the log cabin and Shelters.
Okay, and log cabin was at the corner of Bedford Road and Main Street, right?
Well, if you want to put it this way.
Where would you put it?
It was down about, I'd say, a quarter of a mile from the Shell station.
Okay, that's Shell station's at the corner.
Yeah, the Shell station.
And the Shell station wasn't there in 1917.
No,
okay, why don't you take us as far back as you can remember? You said the house was 2 down from the log cabin. What was at the corner where the Shell station is? Anything?
Yes, I think that Joe Kelly had a fruit stand there.
Did he grow the fruit for the fruit stand there?
No, I think he went up the country and bought them.
Do you have any idea how far up he had to go?
Well, I went with him, got a load of pumpkins way up in Patterson.
How'd you get there?
With his truck. He had a little truck.
Okay, do you remember when this was? How old you were?
No.
Were you finished with school?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I had to leave school when I was 15. I had kind of eyesight.
Okay, let's still go back to where you were born for a minute. We'll go back to, well, then we'll move on to your schooling. So we had the fruit stand. Then what? Proceeding towards your house, what came after the fruit stand?
I think there was an old house sitting in the log cabin where he kept his boarders.
Who's this now? Kelly's Boarders or the log cabin?
No, the log cabin, Husser.
Husted?
Well, Webb Smelling run the log cabin first.
Did he own it?
Yeah, I think he did. I'm not sure.
He ran the log cabin. The log cabin was there when you were born, as far as you remember.
Right.
And Smelling and then Husted?
Yeah, I believe that was that way.
And then what was after the log cabin?
That old house.
Where you lived, or the old house for the Boarders?
No, there was an old house next to the log cabin. We lived there, and then a fellow by the name of Joe DeBeek used to work at Wingo Farm. It was the next house up on the hill.
Was Winkler's Farm there, where it is now?
Wingo Farm, where the IBM is now.
Oh, how do you spell it, Wingo?
Was Wagon. Wagon. Now you got me.
Okay. I can look that up.
They called it Wingo Farm, and on their milk bottles, you could spell it backwards, and that was the name of the farm.
So the milk came from there?
Yep, the milk came out of there.
They deliver the milk every day?
Well, no. My father used to work there.
Oh.
And we'd go up and get the milk up there. And now they had trucks come in and haul the milk out too. They had a lot of cows up there.
Is that what they had largely at that farm?
Pigs, chickens, cows.
Did you get eggs and chickens too? When did your dad move to Armonk? Or was he born here too?
No, he wasn't. He was, supposedly he told me that he was born in Stanwich, Connecticut. That's the other side of Banksville.
Yeah. And do you know I assume the family came from Europe at some point. Do you know from where?
Well, all I can answer that question is far generations back, as far as they go back, was all born in this country.
Mother and father's family. Where'd your mother grow up?
Well, partly in Armonk here. I don't think she was born in Armonk. I think she was born in White Plains.
What was her maiden name?
Ferris.
Same Ferris family is still in Armonk? Are they related to you?
Way back to everybody in Armonk is relatives.
So your dad moved from Stanwich to Armonk. Do you know when? How old he was?
No,
Before you were born,
no,
obviously.
I have no idea. No.
And your mother moved
That I couldn't
Armonk.
answer either. All I know from way back, when I was a boy, they all lived in Armonk.
Okay, so who owned the house where you lived? Do you know that?
No, I couldn't even answer that question.
Do you know if your father owned it?
No, he didn't own it.
Okay, so you rented it from someone.
Somebody.
And can you describe the house to us?
Well, it was an old house.
How many rooms?
I don't know, maybe 5 or 6.
So there was a parlor.
There was a
kitchen.
couple of bedrooms.
Did you have your own bedroom?
No, I slept with my brothers.
How many brothers were there?
Well, there was, let's see, there was 7 of us left. It was Robert and Mary, 4.
4 brothers? You shared one bedroom. You have some sisters?
Well, I couldn't tell you either. Only thing I can remember about that house is when one night we went out uptown with our lanterns and we came back, and my mother was in the window hollering, "Don't come in." There was a great big skunk on the porch, right by the door, and us kids didn't go in until he left. I can remember that like it was yesterday.
I like that one. Do you have sisters?
Yeah, I have one sister left.
Did you have more than one sister?
Yeah, Maud's in the store. Lived right down School Street. She passed on a few years back.
So you had 2 sisters when you were growing up?
Well, I actually had 4, but I don't remember the other 2. There's 2 right here in St. Stephen's Church, and if I could got a hold of them before they blacktopped that, they blacktopped right over the graves. 2 sisters and 2 brothers then. It was 11 in our family, 11 children.
And, so going back to the house, do you know how long you lived in that house?
Oh, I'd say about a year or 2, a year or so.
Well, you were born in that house.
No, I wasn't born. No,
Where
yeah, that's right.
And you lived in the house till you went to school, or before that?
Oh no, we got out of there long before I went to school.
Where'd you move then?
Now that's a $64 question too.
Still in Armonk?
Still in Armonk. Never went out of Armonk.
Uh-huh.
Never. Except the last few years when I was escorting Nellie, I got a job at Electrolux, and we moved to Stanford for a few months, but we came right back to Armonk.
But you don't remember where you moved after you left that little house?
No, I really can't.
I don't know, it was little.
I can't really tell you.
Which is the first house you remember clearly?
Well, now wait, maybe I can tell you. There was a house in Whipplewell, just past Whipplewell School, up on the corner there. And we had moved in there. But what year that would be, I wouldn't know.
Had you gone to school yet at that point?
Oh, I was going to school at that time, too.
Do you remember that house at all, that you can describe it to me?
Yes, it was an old...
Today is June 30th, and Willis Robbins and I, Sue Scheimer, are going to resume talking. Just a second.
Just hope
Okay.
that phone don't go good. No.
Hey, when did you get a telephone in this house? In your first house that you had a phone?
Let's see, we moved on the flat in 1940s.
Moved down the flat? What's that
Used
mean?
to live next to the veteran stop across from the old airport.
And that was called the flat?
That's the flat, yeah.
Next to the old airport.
Across the street from the old airport. Put it this way. Almost next door to the lumber company, French's Lumber Company.
Uh-huh.
On the
And you
same-
moved there in the 40s, before or after the war? Or during the war?
During the war, because I went to work there, and I think I worked there at the Electrolux for a while during the war.
Where was Electrolux?
Old Greenwich, Connecticut.
How'd you get there?
Operated back and forth with the car.
One of those cheap cars, or were you now getting...
Model A Ford. Model A Ford I had. That was the first telephone we had in the house.
So you got the phone into that house. Was it a party line? You share it?
It was.
How many people did you share it with?
4.
Do you remember your ring?
We could never use ours.
Because everyone else used theirs? Do you remember the people who used it?
One of my sister was one of them next door to me, and she had 4 or 5 kids. Very messy.
What was her name?
Evelyn Loudon. She's still living. She's the only sister I have living yet.
How'd she spell her last name?
Was it Lodon? Loudon?
Where does she live?
She lived on 20. Is she live now?
Yeah.
She lives at White Plains.
But she lived right next door to you at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And had 4 to 5 kids, you said?
That's right.
And the kids were the ones using the phone?
Hardly all the time.
And then there were 2 others on the party line.
And I finally got mad, and I called the telephone company and told them if I can't have a line different, take that one out too.
And
But they did.
they didn't take it out and they didn't give you another one.
Hooked up too. Them days, the phone bill, I think, for a party line was only about $2.50 a month.
Pretty good. Except you didn't earn as much either, right?
No, I got $35 a week at that time.
What were you doing at
I used to work
Electrolux?
over to, first I worked over to Howard S. Coleman, Port Authority of New York,
Yeah.
over on King Street.
Yeah, what were you doing there?
Outside work,
Uh-huh.
everything.
And then?
And then I finally quit there, and I went on the highway to county highway, Westchester County Highway.
Was that creating new roads or fixing roads or both?
The highway department works out of White Plains.
Were they making new roads at that point? Were they making the
Well,
parkways?
Probably you did. No, not
The parkways were
I
done?
didn't have the parkway. I wasn't on the parkway. It was the highway department.
Oh,
So
that's
in the
different?
county, there's 3 different jobs there.
Yeah.
I think it's the parkway, and maybe 3 or 4. Police department, and then there's I forget now what others. They still have the same operations down there,
Mhm.
and that's where I worked at that time.
Well, so during the war you worked for Mr. Coleman and the highway?
No, not during the war for Mr. Coleman.
Hey, what's the sequence? What order? Where'd you work first?
I worked for the. You had to have a what do you call it? A special job, or what do we call it? Work for the country. In other words, in a factory where they made war stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was at Electrolux, and then I was at the Yale in Town.
At the what? Yale in Town?
Yale in Town, the lock company. Right
Yeah.
in the bottom of Stanford there. I
Uh-huh.
forget what street it was on. Yes. And what else? See, we used to move around quite a bit. But when I had a job, I used to stay. Then I quit the Electrolux. No, I quit the Yale in Town.
Mm-hmm.
And because I could work for the bottling company, Mount Kisco, for more money.
Which company?
Mount Kisco Bottling Company, D'Amico. Used to have the bottling company, Mount Kisco, still has it.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit there, at Yale in Town, because it was a long drive from here to Stanford every day.
Sure.
And for 55 cents an hour, my money went to gas.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an offer to go to D'Amico's for $45 a week, which left me out of $7 or $8 a week to gas to go back and forth to Yale in Town. So what happened? I had a free invitation to Grand Central Palace for the induction for the service.
Oh,
So evidently I failed, I got eyesight,
yeah.
and they told me, you go back and central work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deliver beer and soda. So Willis had to go back to Stanford. I worked for a paint company at that time. Yeah, paint with the 2 bears over on was Canal Street. Yeah, I think it was Canal Street.
How many hours a week did you work?
Well, in the factories, you only worked approximately 40 hours.
It was 40 hours.
Of course, the jobs I used to get, I had to go out and load the railroad cars at night with the other fellas. So the shipment and the railroad's going to move them out at 12 midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And they had to be loaded to get them out. So I used to get overtime, which I didn't think too much of. It was freezing cold weather at that time, and them railroad cars wasn't warm.
Mm. Did you get time and a half for overtime?
Yeah, you got time and a half.
Was there a union?
Yeah, AFL, I was appointed it for the yellow town. And now I don't consider where that was a central job either, but they did claim it. They used the locks and the pulleys and stuff for the service, you know, in the service.
Yeah.
So I got by with that. And then one day I got really ferocious and I just walked home out of there.
And then what?
And then what? Then Willis was out of work for a couple of days. And I forget now where I got. Oh, I got a job back over to the dog kennel. Was over on the Post Road. Dr. Bell and Dr. Skelton.
Where on the Post Road were they?
Well, it was right near the, what was it, the Clam Box? Yeah, the Clam Box used to be on the Post Road. The big seafood place.
I'm still lost, you'll have to tell me. In White Plains?
No, that would be up in Riverside, Connecticut.
Oh, on that Post Road. Okay.
Yeah. So there I stayed there for a while. And then I came back to Armonk and got a job back in, I forget where, I think it would have worked there. But Armonk.
This is still during the war?
Yeah, we got lived in the war.
I don't remember where.
In fact, when the war broke up, 41.
The war broke out December 7th, 41, and ended in June 45.
Yeah, well, I was in 45. In 45, I was, I thought sure in the tunnel I was still in the Electrolux when the war was over. See, time, you don't keep track of anything, time, you know.
Oh, I understand.
Goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And,
Well, let me ask you some other questions, and if you think of it, you can always come back to this for me. At some point you came back to work in Armonk, but I don't want to talk about work at the moment. I want to talk about Mechanics Hall. Did you ever go to Mechanics Hall?
mm-hmm. You mean on Maple Avenue?
Yeah. Can you tell me about Mechanics Hall?
Well, the only thing I could tell you, that's where they used to have all their elections. Voting. And they used to have big dances there.
Did you go to the dances?
No, but we used to sneak around outside.
This is before you met Nellie?
Oh, long before Nellie. I never even knew Nellie was in the world.
What do you mean sneak around outside? The dances were for the grown-ups and you kids
bunch of boys, you know, was looking for a free glass of sweet cider or something. They used to have sweet cider and donuts there.
Uh-huh.
That I recall.
Yeah.
I had an uncle who used to play the violin in the band.
Did they have a band every time they had a party?
Well, it was, I wouldn't call it a party, I'd call it a dance. They had dances there.
Yeah. How often did they have dances, do you remember?
Pardon?
How often did they have dances, do you remember?
Oh, to my knowledge, they used to have them maybe once a month.
Did your parents go?
No, my parents wasn't that for that kind of recreation.
What kind of recreation did they have? Or did they? Did they have time for recreation?
No. No, you come home from work and you go in the woodshed and get the wood ready for tomorrow.
I don't know if you can answer this one. What did you or your parents think of the people who did go to these dances?
Nothing. The old-time people in Armonk, used to have an old couple up in Whipplewell. You probably heard of them. Used it. I used it and Joe used it. That was, if you remember, Charlie used it.
Yeah.
Well, that was his father and mother. And I understood that they used to win all the prizes for the waltzes.
Let me stop this for a second. I don't know what it's doing. Okay.
They used to have the basketball court upstairs. And ball games out in the
back. They used to have a ball field between that and Annandale Avenue. And, I couldn't play because do much of anything on account of my eyesight.
3 o'clock or whatever, you came home from school?
I think we came off at that time. You asked me before when we moved, where we moved from that house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went over to the historical building.
Ah, you lived at Smith's Tavern.
That's it.
How old were you then? Do you remember?
Well, I was about 13 at that time, back in 1928. You figure about how old I was at that time.
So you lived at Smith's Tavern.
Mm-hmm. And if we missed the bus, we had to walk to school.
There was a bus, though.
Paramount, the taller boys, they got a bus route. I don't know how many years after we moved over there, they got it up. I don't recall when they did start the bus route. But they had a bus. They used to pick us up on the corner of Cox Avenue and 22.
And take you over to the Whippoorwill School.
And then they'd make another stop at the Premier Road.
Uh-huh.
And another stop on Banksville Road on top of the hill.
Oh.
And if you had to stay after school and you missed the bus, you walked home. And then you got a 10 when you got there too for mistake for being a bad boy.
A tanning at school for being bad.
You got a 10.
How many classrooms were there at the Whippoorwill School? Do you remember that? It was more than one big room.
Oh yes, Whippoorwill School had every class separated, I'm sure.
Now you got home eventually. Did you have any chores when you came home?
Oh yes.
What did you have to do?
I bring wood in for the next day
And what else?
before you went playing out with kids.
Where'd you play?
In the yard.
How big was your yard? I know, it depends where you were.
Not very big. Not very big. The dirt road used to go right by the front of it.
Which house is this now? The dirt road.
The other side of the log cabin where I was born.
That was a dirt road.
All dirt roads in Armonk.
What about the road in front of Smith's Tavern? Was that dirt?
Well, I was, when we lived there in 1928, that time, it was, I think it was blacktop, or oil.
But that was about the only oil road.
And then they resurfaced it. They used to raise it up. That road there in front of the Smith's Tavern, at that time, was about 2 feet lower than it is now in front of the tavern. Then they used to raise it up with gravel and then resurface it on top. In other words, that wall in front of Smith's Tavern would be an awful hard job to stand on the road and jump on the top. It was so low in front of there. And like I said, the state came by and used to, every I don't know how many years apart. I know when we were there, they resurfaced it twice. And they brought up that, filled it up with gravel stone and then tarred or over it, oiled it over it, I don't know which now.
But the road when you lived where Old Route 22 is now was a dirt road. How wide was it?
Well, it was almost the same width now, except it was all dirt roads. Dirt there.
Did you have a car?
No.
Do you remember when you got your first car?
No, I can't remember. I know my father had an old car, an old Model T Ford. And I don't exactly remember when he got it. I know he bought one off in Ralph Landers when they closed down the store, the feed store. They were at the corner, Maple Avenue 128, where the real estate office is now.
Yeah.
They used to have, the Landers boys used to have a feed store there,
Mm-hmm.
and a grocery store, and a post office.
Did you shop there?
Oh yes, I remember. If I remember right, that was the only place you'd go in town to shop. I don't remember any other place.
Who did the shopping in your family when you were growing up? Your mom, your dad, or you guys?
We used to walk all the way from that historical lodge all the way into town and back.
And who's we? You did?
Brother and sister and I, whoever wanted to take a walk to the village, brought the groceries home.
So your mom gave you a shopping list. And did you pay cash, or did you have
No,
your
used to
dad?
have account. Used to have account with the Lander boys. And sometimes he paid cash. We had it in his pocket.
Did you get everything you needed for eating from there? No, you didn't. You got a lot of the stuff from the farm.
Well, that time he didn't work on the farm.
Where did he work?
When we moved. At that time, I think my dad was working for the highway department.
Oh,
He worked for the highway a long time. He was the blaster.
there was a lot of blasting from new roads that needed to be done at that
Armonk
point.
Road and all around. He used to do it. I don't know where he ever learned it from, but he was the blaster. They used to call him Dynamite Jim.
They built a lot of new roads. So after your father stopped working at the farm, did you get all your groceries from the Lander store?
Yeah, well, we lived here practically all of our life.
Yeah.
Here in town. And I don't say we lived in the same house. My mother used to love to move. In them days, you know, if you didn't like this place today, tomorrow you could move across the street.
Well, you rented all of these
All
houses.
the time, yeah. And my father and mother never owned anything.
Did you grow your own vegetables or anything like
Oh
that?
yes, he had gardens. My father had gardens.
Who worked in the
If
gardens?
If there were a room on the place where we lived, had it.
But which
all of
places?
us, everybody, the whole family get out there and do what they could do.
Well, Smith's Tavern, you had space for the garden,
Yeah, but
right?
Smith's Tavern, I don't recall. Yeah, I think my father had a garden right out between 22, and there used to be an old big barn sitting right opposite where that Smith's, the old blacksmith shop is. Used to be a great big barn there.
Oh. Did you keep anything in the barn?
No, the barn was empty.
But in between those two, that area, he had a garden. What'd
Yeah,
you grow?
in the garden there. Oh, he had string beans and onions and tomatoes, everything like that.
Did you eat it all, or did you sell some of it?
No, he didn't sell any at that time. He'd give it away. People, neighbors come by and he'd give some.
And sometimes you got stuff from other neighbors?
Pardon?
Sometimes you got stuff from neighbors too?
We got stuff in there? Oh, yes.
What kind of stuff did you get from neighbors?
Well, we used to get, Mrs. Grouch used to live right across the street where that place is on the opposite side of it. There used to be Datlows, I think, lived there.
Yeah.
Mrs. Grouch and her husband lived there. And we used to get our milk over there, 10 cents a quart.
Oh. In bottles?
No, we take a pail.
Oh, you took a pail.
You go for 2 quarts and you come home with 4.
Did she have cows?
They had a couple of cows, yeah.
And so you have fresh, really fresh milk.
Every day.
Do you remember taking off the cream?
Mm-hmm.
What'd your mom do with the cream?
Hot cheese and everything we made.
We made, or did she do it?
No, we did help her too.
How do you make hot cheese?
Well, I don't know how she did it, but she had a big sack.
Yeah,
And she put all this stuff in there, cream with it, I imagine.
yeah.
Sour up. And then it would drain,
Mm-hmm.
the way I recall now.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to replicate it because I
No.
won't get the right milk. But, so you all helped?
Mm-hmm.
Did you go across the street to get the milk, or did the lady bring it to you?
I got hit by an automobile going Saturday night to pay the bill there. I got thrown from that historical building to the caution light down on 22 there now.
That's a good throw.
You better believe it. And I was lucky boy that I'm still sitting here.
How old were you for that one?
I was about 13.
Let's see, this is 1930. There weren't too many cars on 22. What was that
Well,
one?
it just happened to be on a Saturday night. I always used to pay them up $1.50.
Yeah, $1.50 for the week's milk?
Yeah. And my father made me go. I didn't want to go. My father made me go over there and pay the bill. Because they wanted to go in White Plains, shop a little bit. And I was mad. And I said to myself, I ain't going to go back right away. So I sat in the house and I was talking to her boys. She had a boy, Johnny and Tony. Rose and Annie Crouch. So pretty soon my mother called me. Now this is dark now. I had a pair of big overalls on, underwear, pair of high-top shoes. I came out to drive. Pitch dark. I was standing on the edge of the road, and the car came down. I waited. But when the car went by, I dashed across. I said, nobody else coming.
Sounds good.
And that's when I remember for that night. A car was following Townsend, the game warden. They'd been up to Bedford Village shooting clay pigeons. And on the way home, on the way down, his lights blew out. And he's following this other car. And the driver happened to see me standing there when the car that he was following with the lights, see me standing there. And he knew I was going to go across because there was nobody else coming. And he swung in. He went to the right where the telephone pole is still sitting there, right on the corner as you go into Smith's Tavern.
Yeah.
He swung the car into there and he hit the pole with the left front fender. That's where he got me, with the left front fender. When he swung the car in, the fender hit me and threw me all the way down that road.
Do you remember what your mother or father told you about that night? What happened next?
We had a little doctor in town,
Did he come to the house?
and with no telephones. And my father went down and got him, and he didn't show up right away. And Mr. Frank Purdy was a councilman at that time. I'm sure it was Frank Purdy. And a guy from Banksville, Hawksworth. Well, anyhow, there was, like I say, no phones or anything.
Right.
So anyhow, I don't know who got these fellows to come to the house. And they came to the house. And old Doc Clark, my father had to go down the second time to get him to come back up. They were going to White Plains too with his daughter. In other words, he wasn't coming. He forgot about it that time. And he finally did come up. And he pushed my knees back where they belonged. And you're all right, he said. I never even went to the hospital. But I went to White Plains shopping with him. And they got me upset. They kept asking me, are you hurt? Are you hurt? Are you hurt? Well, the more they asked me, the more hurter I got, whether I was or not. Well, anyhow, we came on home from shopping. White Plains went to bed. I never got out of that bed for 4 weeks. Every bone in my body was black and blue. And I was caddying up at the golf course up in where Windmill Farm is now, the old MC Club they called it. And I didn't go there. And when
MC Club?
It used to be an old MC Club where the Windmill Farms is, and there's a Middle Patton School. We used to go out in there, the golf course. They called it the MC Club.
Embassy?
Mm-hmm. And when I did go back to caddy, the boss said, we don't need you. You haven't been here in 4 weeks. We don't need you. Well, I lost my $1 a day.
Is that what you were getting?
$1.
In tips or in pay?
No, you didn't get many tips some days. I think you got $1 a round. Carried together a bag.
Okay, did your father have a car at the time this happened?
Mm-hmm. He had a car.
So he went down to get the doctor with the car.
He went down to get it, yeah.
Do you remember when your father got his first car?
Pardon?
Do you remember when your father got his first car?
No, and I can't recall even what kind of a car it was. I think it was an old Rio. Had to shift it backwards. And many a time we almost went through the windshield. We got it in the wrong gear. And then the clutch, when you push the clutch in to shift this car, there was a brake on the clutch too. And if you went down too far, the brake would lock. In other words, to shift the car, you only had to push the clutch maybe halfway in. I think of this now.
Yeah.
Push the clutch halfway in, then you shift it. But if you went a little further, it would have that's what they call the emergency brake. It had teeth on the bottom. It would hook in there. And we often left our seats in the back seat of the car. We went up to the front seat.
When did you first start to drive?
Oh, I drove. We had an old Model T Ford there for the farm, or there used to be a big apple orchard down the back of Smith's Tavern.
Where was
The orchard, apple orchard, very big apple orchard.
Which way the back of Smith's Tavern?
Where you go right through there where the blacksmith shop is. There used
Yeah.
to be a little path going down in the back.
Where Cox Avenue now is? Or further?
No, it would come out to
Where the woods are?
It would come out. The apple orchard used to be where the last house is down the hill on Seymour Place. In other words,
Okay.
you go
Where
into-
Hillendale is? Where
No.
no, not Hill. Where the church is?
No,
No.
you go. Well, part of it. No, I don't think the Smith Tavern. Well, the Yale Farms owned everything anyhow, so they owned where Smith, the church is and everything. But you go past the church on Seymour Place, and the first left, you go down that hill.
Yeah.
There used to be a big circle there. Well, all of that was apple orchard in there from the Smith, from the Yale Farms owned it. But we used to go there with the old Model T Ford and cut the apple trees, the old broken down apple trees for wood.
Oh.
Okay.
And did you also pick some of the apples?
There were no apples. They were no good. Never been sprayed. Nothing.
Did you spray apples in those days?
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you had ever seen the farm where IBM is now,
They sprayed the apples?
apples, beautiful apples. You could pick them and sell them there.
Well, they sold them, and you could pick and buy what you picked, or for a higher price, you would be able to buy them already.
It's like the orchards now up the country. And at a certain time when the apples ripe, they let you go in and pick your own.
Right.
And they give you the bag or the baskets, and they charge you so much for that basket full.
Could you also buy a full basket that you didn't pick?
If you didn't want to pick them, you
Yeah.
go in the stand and buy what you
But
want.
you didn't do that.
No.
Okay, so you bought some of your stuff from the lady across the street, your milk. That's when you were at Smith's Tavern. Bought some of the stuff from the Landers store. You grew some of the stuff. Did your mother can some of it?
Yeah, she used to can a lot of things. Poor lady stand behind that fire all day on the hot day, jar up tomatoes, and 2 weeks from there they burst. All her hard work was gone for nothing. And heat too.
Yes. Where did she keep the stuff when it didn't burst?
We used to have a place there in where the back kitchen is.
Yeah.
My father had a little place outside around the bend there. But in the wintertime when it got cold, you had to bring the stuff in. He had like a little cabinet out around the back. And when it got real cold, it would freeze up and bust anyhow.
When you didn't have electricity, you didn't have a refrigerator.
I don't remember if we had electricity in the Smith's Tavern. I'm almost sure we did.
But at some of your earlier houses, you did not have a refrigerator because you didn't have electricity,
No
right?
refrigerator. The iceman came and put a chunk of ice in the box.
That's what I was wondering about. How often did he come? Do you remember?
Well, he came real hot weather. He came around 3 times a week.
What happened to the ice when it melted?
The water, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Had a pipe. You used to keep on the back porch if you had a back porch.
Did you have a back
Or
porch?
some old room in the house you didn't need. Put that ice box in there, and my father used to drill a hole through the floor. Put a pipe to a rubber hose. Because every time we used to empty it by the time where we didn't have it, we couldn't drill a hole.
Right.
And the first thing you know, you're looking and you see the water coming up.
That's what I was thinking
My
about.
father and mother say, Willis, Walter, empty that pail. I know.
So the Iceman came 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Anything else get delivered?
Pardon?
Anything else get delivered that you needed?
No. There used to be a Smokestein store in Mount Kisco many years ago.
What was
Had a
this?
delivery
Yeah.
selling clothes in their automobile. And they used to cover Armonk. And then there was an old fruit man, vegetable man, came out of Portchester. He used to sell stuff on the truck, I think he had pig's feet, stuff like this. And he'd stop over there across the street from Mrs. Crouch's, and they used to buy off him all the time. And if we needed anything that we didn't have, my mother used to run over there and grab a couple of things off him.
Did he come in a wagon or a truck?
He had a little long truck with a little shield over it. He'd stop and he'd open the side of the truck, like a hot dog wagon on
Yeah.
the side now that you have, And I know my brother he used to work at the polo grounds on Riverville Road, Cricket Ridge Road, they call it. And he found his pocketbook one time with $349 in it.
That's a lot of money.
The poor guy, he didn't have nothing either. So when he came to Mrs. Grouch's, my brother ran across and gave it to him. And he was the happiest man that ever lived. I would have been too.
You always wore ready-made clothes, or did your mom make some clothes?
No, she used to mend them up for us, patch them up. She'd jump over a barbed wire fence and tear the pads out. She'd patch them up.
Did you get whacked for that one?
Oh, yeah, you got to think.
Were you the oldest brother? Or?
No, I had my oldest brother right now. He passed away a few years back too. I have two brothers left and one sister.
Did you sometimes get clothes that your brothers had worn before you?
Oh yeah, we used to take one another's clothes. Somebody give you a whole big bag of clothes. You put in the bedroom there and you tried them on. What fit you, you kept. What fit the other boy, he kept.
Did your grandma or grandpa live when you were, as you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Where did they live?
They lived right on McDonald Avenue, where that big office is now.
Yeah.
At the end of McDonald Avenue 22, on the right-hand side, going from here down, on the right-hand side, there's big offices in there.
Oh yes.
They used to live there.
They always lived there?
No, not always.
Did they move around like you folks moved around?
No. God bless their souls. God bless them. They didn't do that.
Was this your mother's family or your father's family?
My mother's mother. My mother's mother.
Did your mother's mother make clothes?
Yes, she was a very good knitting. She used to knit sweaters and stuff.
So you got knitted sweaters from her?
Yeah, she used to give us sweaters when she got around to having them.
Did she sell some of her stuff too?
I don't think she did. She'd make Christmas presents for the daughters and their son, like my mother.
And your grandfather, what did he do?
Well, he worked for a good many years for the DWS, Department of Water Supply,
Of the city of New
in
York.
the city of New York.
Did he help build the dam?
I don't know if he did help build the dam, but my father helped build the dam.
Oh, he did.
My father worked on it.
We're talking about the Kensico Dam.
That's right. And
Your father held all kinds of jobs.
them days you did.
Different jobs in the winter and the summer sometimes?
No, he usually got a job, and if the bosses could pay him, well, he stayed. But then sometimes they'd move out or give up the business, whatever they had.
Or finish the dam.
Well, the dam, he used to explain to us about it, and I was going to go through that dam. You can go through that dam, underneath, and I never got to the point to go.
Mm-hmm.
You can go down there and they take you on a tour through that dam.
The Kensico Dam?
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go down there?
I didn't know you could get a tour of it.
Well, anytime you want to talk about it and see about it, you go across the dam and make your right. And you see that big brick building out there where the aviators used to be?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the head offices there. Now, I don't know if they still take you through there or not, but I know they used to give you a raincoat and an umbrella, people told me, because I guess there's water coming down from the top of the dam or whatever. But I've been going to, I was going to go down many, many times. I never made it.
So your father worked on the dam.
Yeah, and I forget what year. He often told us too what year he worked on it.
And he worked at the farm up where IBM is.
Mm-hmm.
And where else did he work?
The highway department.
And the highway department.
That was the last.
As a blaster.
Mm-hmm.
And your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Yeah, where did he work?
Yeah, his father,
Your father's father. Or mother's father.
My mother's father. He worked on all these reservoirs. Years ago, they used to mow back from the reservoir, back 35, 40 feet. Like, in other words, Kensico.
They didn't have all those trees?
That's right. This is why I have a license to go fish there, and I never go fishing there because you can't even throw your pole out. And then when you do find an opening to fish, every time you throw out, you got to break your line and lose the hook. So it's a difference today than it was them days.
So they mowed down
They mowed from the edge of the water all the way back,
to the
30,
road.
35 feet, all the way around all the reservoirs. And now they don't do that no more.
And that's what your father was doing?
My grandfather.
Grandfather, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Is the grandfather your mother's side? Now what about your father's side?
Well,
Where did they live, or
I'm
were
very
they gone?
disappointed. I never seen my father's father. And right now we're getting up a family tree, if we can. And I'm trying to find out what his name was. I never met my father's father. Never.
So he passed away
But
before you,
I might have when I
Yeah.
was this size or something.
before you went to school, really.
Sure, a long time before I went to school.
Okay, you stored. Did you have a basement in these houses for storing stuff?
Most of the houses we went in was there was a little cellar in the basements.
And you stored food down there?
Yes, it was cool. And we used to buy sugar by the barrel.
By the barrel? And you kept the barrel in the basement? Buy
Well,
flour
no,
by the barrel?
no, not in the basement because the sugar dampness get into
Oh,
it
so where'd you store it?
and would hire it up off the kitchen someplace.
Kitchen big?
You know, in
Must
them
have been
days,
big.
them days. Oh yeah, they were good sized rooms in them days. It was like the historical building over there.
Uh-huh.
They were good sized, pretty good sized rooms in them places.
So you had sugar in a barrel. What about flour?
Flour, my mother used to make all kinds of goodies.
Where'd
Make
you
bread.
get bread? Did your mother make the bread?
Most of the time made the bread. This is why as young boys had to go home and get off the school bus and get in the door. If we had decent pants on, take them off and go to the fields with an axe, chop some trees down, so there would be enough wood next day for my mother to cook that bread.
So you didn't
But my
have the
father
homework.
knew that,
And so what did he have
and
you
we
do?
went in the woodshed with the saw.
Spent a lot of time on that, getting that wood ready, didn't you?
You could burn. My mother used to throw them sticks in there just as fast as she could get them in there. Hey, 3 or 4 bushels of wood wouldn't last her a whole day. I mean, sometimes the wood's dry and burn up in a hurry.
Where was the wood fireplace? In the kitchen? The wood stove, I'm sorry.
Yeah, all the
In the
time.
kitchen?
Mostly in the kitchen, yeah.
Did you have a fireplace?
No.
Okay. When you were up in your bedroom in the middle of the winter, did you get cold at night?
We used to heat up brick
Uh-huh.
and put them up in the covers before we went on the bed. In that historical building, too. We only had the kitchen stove, and where the big stove is now in the big room,
Yeah.
that's where we sat in the evenings. We didn't go too far from there because it was cold on the other side.
Did you play cards or do anything?
Oh yeah, we played cards, and the Crouch kids used to come over, Rose and Annie, and John and Tony. They used to come over there and we'd pass the time away playing cards or putting puzzles together. Now
Big jigsaw puzzles?
yeah, we used to have people used to get together.
Uh-huh.
And I can't. I'm trying to think. I'm almost sure we did because when Hoover was Hoover and Roosevelt was running, I think back in '28.
Uh-huh.
My father went and got an old Antwater Cant radio. Not an old one. He bought a new and white plane someplace. Had a great big speaker on it and everything. And just you go from the kitchen to the Smith's Tavern.
Yeah.
Well, the stove would be on the left. And then right on this side of the house, room, my father, I can see him sitting in there with that great big horn. And he'd only be about 4 feet from the thing, and he'd have that thing top, the volume up top. And I'm sure it was the time that Hoover and Roosevelt beat Hoover that time,
That was 1932.
1932.
So you were 15 years.
Well, I was about 15. Because I said when I got hit with a car, I thought it was around 1928, 29, could be later, a year or so. I figured I was only 13.
So you remember that election and that radio.
That's right.
Did you sometimes have the radio on with music?
Well, us kids never played the radio.
That was your father's.
Yeah, it was all of ours, but like I say, we didn't have much time to do anything. Always busy.
Well, you met your wife in Banksville.
Mhm.
How'd you get there?
Walk.
You walked to Banksville? How long did that take you?
An hour and 15 minutes. I
You
clocked
must
it
have walked
many a
pretty
time.
fast. Well, with Nellie on the other end, no wonder you walked
it
fast.
many a time. I clocked it, and I'll tell you, on the way home, at 12:30, 1 o'clock, coming up to from anywhere from the middle school used to be on the corner by Troy's Nursery. Over about a half a mile this side of that, when they started Windmill Farms, and when they started when the paternal estate had at that time. And I don't recall if he had that big fence around there or not. But anyhow, coming on home up them hills over there, a deer or something would get out in front of me in the leaves. Well, Willis used to make it home in an hour. Them feet was going 3 feet instead of 2. Scared to death. Hair stood up on my head more than once.
What were the roads like? Or did you walk on paths?
It was all spar roads.
What spar roads mean?
White powder. Banksville Road was that way. And that spar would go like a washboard. We used to call it a washboard. Your mother's washboard. She used to rub the clothes with. That's how bumpy the road was. All the way from 22 into into Troy's Nursery.
So that was Banksville Road. That was basically the same road that ran the same way as Banksville Road does now?
Banksville Road only goes as far as the top of the hill where Giffords
Right.
Estate used to be. And then Round Hill
And then it's
Road.
Round Hill. So those two roads were there.
All the way out from here, right to North Street, which is the concrete road by Troy's Nursery. You know, it's a blacktop road now. They blacktop.
But that was all this white powder.
White stuff. Boy, your car, my father would go all the way up to Middle Patton Road and go down and come out by the cemetery and go to Banksville before he go over that road. Not only him, a lot of other cars did the same thing.
What was that other road like?
The Middle Patton Road wasn't too far better, but at least it didn't have all them bumps. You could sit on your seat and where you belonged. It wasn't be from one side to the other.
I should say they didn't have seatbelts in those days,
No,
right?
they did not.
So you went where the car wanted to put you.
That's right.
So you went to see Nellie. Well, that's not what first got you to Banksville. Was there any community place where you could get together with people in Armonk?
No, not that I know of.
So what
Well,
made you first go to Banksville?
Well,
Do
we
you
used to
remember?
go there because we got in contact with a couple of friends over there.
How'd you meet those guys?
Well, we used to go to a ball game out there. They used to have ball games where the golf course is being built there now, or is built. You know, you go to the Pincher store and then you make a left.
Yeah,
Down the avenue, they call it the avenue.
yeah. There's a golf course down there?
You go up over the hill, go on out. There used to be a big fencing down there too, but they took that all out now. Banksville Avenue.
Uh-huh.
You go over there and you jump, your car wouldn't go that high off the road.
2
your
feet
belly
high
would
off the
come up.
road?
Used to be a terrific chute up there, and then drop down like that. Well, just after you pass that isn't there no more. They took that out. On the left-hand side, as you come back, that little side street comes out by the roundhouse. Right in there used to be a ball field.
So you went there.
And we used to go there on Saturday afternoons or evenings and watch them play ball. And then we got friends with some of the boys over there.
Were there any ball fields here in Armonk?
Yes, I think there were quite a few, but I don't recall where they. Now you got me over the barrel. I don't recall where they had a ball field.
But you think they
Right.
did have one?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they had a couple here somewhere.
But you still went over to Banksville, and then you met Nellie,
Mm-hmm.
and you kept going to Banksville.
Yep, kept going to Banksville.
Was there
I
any?
used to ride a bicycle
Oh,
over.
that must have
I'm-
been terrific on that white powder.
That's why. So I left it home because you couldn't keep the bicycle on the road.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Bounce you all over the place. And down where I don't know if you remember Ralph Sulo.
Yeah.
You're right this side of him, on the right-hand side, way up in the back, there used to be some kind of a doctor lived up in there.
Yes.
Now we're going back in the
So that would be
36.
near Round Hill Road and Greenwich Road.
Now it would be this side of Sulo.
So it would be
going on
closer to
Round Hill Road.
Armonk than.
Yeah, well, right this side where I be at, where Windmill Farms got them big stone piers. Right opposite that, there used to be a doctor live up there, and he had two big Great Danes. I swear to goodness they stood that high.
Yeah.
And I don't know what ever made them. They must have heard me coming down that hill with that bicycle. Woof, woof, woof. Down they come that driveway and knocked me right off that bicycle.
What
And
happened?
me,
then?
I screamed at the top of my voice. But no help. There was nobody around. So I decided I'd leave the bicycle home. And I didn't dare to take it on over there and get off it and hide it someplace. I could have hit it over the fence. So when I come back at night, at least I could have rode part of the way home. But I left it home. I didn't take it on. Them dogs used to knock me off there every time, and I was scared.
Were you worried about people stealing the bike?
Well, they had pickers that they stole.
Crime does not start in 1980.
No. But it was far from being like it is now. Kids used to go to school, they used to pick up something, and you'd take your sweater or something. If it was better than theirs, maybe they'd take it. If they didn't like you anyhow, they'd take it. They'd take anything you had.
Uh-huh. And then what happened?
Then what happened? You never found it.
Well, I
You
guess
had
that
to go
doesn't
get.
change.
You had to go get another one. Yeah.
The telephone. You said that when you got hit by the car, you didn't have a phone. Remember your first phone?
We never had a phone. My father and mother never owned a telephone. Never.
When you needed something, you went to the nearest place where there was a phone. Where would that have been when you were at Smith's Tavern?
Well, Smith's Tavern, the nearest phone. Well, Strauss didn't have one.
Yeah.
I suppose we could have gone down to Harry Runs, the guy that owned the blacksmith shop.
Which was
But
pretty near where the Handy Stop is, or the Convenient Food Mart.
Right there where the Handy Stop is, near that, in that section there. And then across the street where the yellow barn is, he used to live with his sister, a great big old house up there. And I'm sure he had a telephone. But we never owned one. A lot of people in town never owned one.
Was there a place in Armonk where you got together with other people?
Pardon?
Was there a place in Armonk where you got together with other people just for fun?
Well, in the saloon. There was 13.
Where was the
There was 13 of them here. Not way
13?
back at that time, but in the later years there was about 13 in town here.
What do you mean by the later years?
Well, after I got married, or before I got married, back up in the 30s,
There were 13 saloons.
13 taverns.
And were those just places to drink, or did other things go on?
Well, some had pool rooms, shuffleboard, 10 cents a glass of beer. So
Well,
you went out one day and made $1 like I did. And then if you wanted to have a couple of beers, you went to the saloon, you got rid of your $1. And the next morning had a headache.
that doesn't change, does it? Did you ever go down to North White Plains?
Very summer. Very summer.
That was not part of your
No.
community at all.
We went there, they had a carnival one time, down there, right up on Virginia Road by the quarry there. And my cousin and I, we walked down there, Fort Paris, and we had to walk back. No, I'm lying. We got a ride down, and we were offered a ride back before the carnival closed up, but we didn't want to come home.
So
So we
people
walked.
knew how to walk in those days.
And coming up near that big bridge, we both had to take our shoes off. We had sores on our heels that big from the shoes.
That doesn't change either. Still can get sores from shoes. Where did you get your shoes?
Well, we had a lot of friends in town, and when the kids' shoes wouldn't fit them no more, or they had somebody gave them a bunch of shoes, clothes, whatever, they'd divide them up with you. What they couldn't use, they'd pass on you, and what you couldn't use, you'd pass on somebody else. That's the way we worked around here. I mean, we weren't starving to death. My father, he did work, but he made $4 a day on the highway department, blasting rock.
But at least he had a job, because we're talking about the Depression for part of that period too, aren't we?
1928, and well, even when I got married to Nellie in 1937, it was bad too. I was out of work, and then I wound up going to work for Harry Donnelly, where the Catholic Church is now in Cox Avenue, delivering eggs. $5 a week.
This is right after you got married?
Yes, back in
$5 a week.
$5 a week.
37.
Nellie worked for Mr. Crittenden, the principal of the school,
Yeah.
and I stayed with her. They gave her $8 a week. And I worked for the guy delivering the eggs for $5. So we got $13 a week. And then Nellie left the Crittendens, and we went up on High Street, and there was a little bungalow up there, a little shack next to Marguerite.
Did you have electricity in that place?
Yeah, in that little place we had electricity. But we only had 2 rooms at that time.
And a baby?
And Helen was on the way.
So you delivered eggs. How did you deliver the eggs?
With Mr. Donnelly in his car.
Oh, in a car?
Yeah. Go all the way down to the Bronx, Mount Vernon.
Oh, I thought you delivered them right around here.
Now, he said to me, if you make a certain amount of weight, he said, I'll give you 10 cents on every dollar. So now this boy wasn't dumb. This boy took the customers, it took 5 or 6 dozen every week, and gave me the customers, it only took 1. I walked up down in the Bronx, I walked up 90 steps. And he told me before I went up, there was no elevator in that apartment, nothing. And he told me before I went in there, only take 1. He said, that woman only takes 1 dozen a week. I get up 90 steps, and she decided that week she wanted 2 dozen.
Did they come in cartons? How did you deliver the eggs?
Same as you buy today.
Oh, in the cartons.
Dozen, yeah. Yeah, he took that. He had a big chicken farm where the church is. Whispering
Where
Pine.
St. Patrick's is.
Yeah, Whispering Pine Poultry Farm. Down in Sonoma.
How many people work there?
Oh, he had his brothers working there. He had Molly Farquhar married Steve Farquhar. You don't know him, I don't think. I don't know. He had a couple of people besides themselves working there, canning the eggs and so forth and so on. But
Your job was delivering the
yeah,
eggs.
and then Tuesday we're supposed to have a day off.
One day a week.
1 day a week. And then he said to me, you better come with me soliciting for new customers. So Willis didn't get paid for that day. I got $5 a week. One time he took us, Nellie and I, to the old ranch house in White Plains. Upstairs was 15 cents in the balcony, and downstairs was 20 to see the movies, cowboy pictures. And he thought that was a big deal.
You sat upstairs.
He took us to the movies.
Yeah, upstairs or downstairs?
No, we sit downstairs.
I see. He was a big deal.
Spent a
He
nickel-
took-
he
he
spent a
got an
nickel
extra
more.
nickel on each of you.
10 cents, yeah. 10 cents cost for tours.
Had you ever gone to the movies before then, or was that your first movie?
Oh, no, Nellie and I used to go when I was escorting Nellie. We used to get down
Where-
a little bit.
Where were movie houses?
Right in White Plains on Main Street.
How'd you get there?
Drove with an automobile without a license.
Your father's automobile, or did you get one?
No, I had an old Model A Ford, Model T Ford, a Model A Ford.
How'd you pay for it?
Well, I went and I used to help with tackles out there. There used to be a junkyard in Banksville.
Yeah.
So I'd go to work over there to help them out.
You did that in addition to working at the egg farm?
No, at that time I didn't work at the egg farm.
Was this before or
It was
after?
after.
After the egg.
After I worked on the egg, when I worked on the egg farm.
This is. Well, I'm still lost. Which was first, Ritacos or the egg farm?
Ritacos.
So you, Ritacos, how much did you earn?
I think he paid my room up on the corner, $7.50 a month, and I think he gave me about 10 a week.
It's an
But
awful
then
lot of weeks to pay for a car.
Well, the cars them days was only he'd get a junk in,
Oh, I see.
and maybe the roof leaked on it or something, and then he liked me very much, and he'd give it to me for maybe $10, $12.
Oh, okay.
And then you take out $1 a week out of the pay or something. So that's how I got the car.
You worked at Ritacos before you got married? So you got the car and you could go to the movies. You don't buy planes for anything else.
We used to go down there for hot dogs. There used to be a nickel place there. Nice big hot dog.
Where'd you buy the gas?
All they would guess, them days of gas was only what, 15 to 20 cents a gallon.
But where'd you buy it?
Right here in town.
There was a gas station?
Oh, there was 2 or 3 of them.
Already? Where?
Well, one right where the drugstore sits. And Texaco was there for a good many years.
Yeah.
Good many years Texaco was there. It wasn't named Texaco. They used to sell golf. The people used to own it. And then over here, where the Exxon station used to be, Charlie had a one pump gas station there years ago. Not Charlie, there was another guy there, and I always forgot his name. I think his name was Sam.
Which gas station? There is an Exxon now. You don't mean that one?
No, it's the same place. Only these people used to sell Blue Sunoco.
Oh, the one that Bumpy Taylor used to own?
The one old Bumpy Taylor used to run, yeah. Right, and there was a couple here and there. Banksville had one out there. You'd always get a gallon of gas, a couple of gallons of gas.
When you first went courting Nellie, were there gas stations?
Oh, yeah.
You know, around here?
I went with Nellie around the end of 35 or beginning of 36.
Some people go around in horses still at that point, or was everyone using cars?
Well, there was a lot of horseback riders over in Banksville on Sunday afternoons.
For fun or for chores?
I imagine for fun, or they're just out sporting or something, like I go fishing.
But you don't, do you remember people using horses to get around because they needed to, or just for sport?
No, I don't remember anybody, you mean using it for transportation?
Yeah.
Well, if they did it for the fun of it, I imagine. I don't recall too much of that.
Was there a bus you could have used when you went down to White Plains?
Well, years ago, I think there was a bus. I know one time I had a toothache, and I lived down in Smith's place down there. The same lady that I imagine owned that tavern, Georgia Smith's mother's house, and I had a toothache. The bus came, and Nellie and I jumped the bus. She went to the dentist, had it out, and all the way in White Plains, 2-step big. I got the bus back again. Now the bus went to Mount Kisco.
Yeah.
And while it was going to Mount Kisco, this thing would boom, boom, boom. On the way back, they caught the bus again. This time I did get a pull. That was the way, that's the way I used to. It don't hurt now. I said, Nellie, down Main Street, it don't hurt me now. I'm not going to get that tooth. I was scared to death of the dentist anyhow. Terrible.
Did you go to church here?
Used to go to Methodist church.
The one that we have now?
Sunday school. Years ago, Sunday school.
Did they have special activities in addition to the Sunday school at the church?
Not that I know. Maybe now they might, but I haven't.
Not back when you went.
No. We used to go to Sunday school on a Sunday morning, and after that we were right home again, back up the hill.
So did the church have any special social gatherings? Did they have the election day chowder?
I really think they did. Mrs. Jesker over here used to put it on for years.
Yeah.
But I forget now when it did start. Oh, I'm sure they had for many, many years. I remember the election nights one year. I was only yay high.
What, about 12 now?
And I don't recall either. But I do know at the corner where the city bank is,
Yeah.
these guys got a whole barrel of hard cider. And rolled it right up. There used to be a stone wall fence come down and go around the corner there.
Yeah.
And they shot that barrel of hard cider up on that stone fence there. And off they went drinking election day. And they brought my father. At that time we lived in Whippoorwill. That's where I told you before. And they brought my father home about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-huh.
My mother's name was Laura. They hammered on the door. Laura, what do you want? We got Jim. His name was Jim. They called him Jim. His name was James. Where do you want to put him? Lock him in the chicken coop.
Did they?
Sure did. Lock him up in the chicken coop. Oh boy.
Oh, you've got some good memories. I'm going to ask you one more question, then stop us for today. Was there a firehouse?
No. We had to call Mount Kisco.
Remember
Firehouse was built here in 1930.
Did you ever have a fire in your place?
No, thank God, no.
Were you guys allowed to take the kerosene lamps into your bedroom? You were.
We don't know if we were allowed or not, but we did.
Okay.
There was no really strict rules like there is now.
Well, I wasn't thinking of strict rules by the government. I remember one lady I spoke to told me that she was never allowed to take the kerosene lamps into her bedroom because her parents were worried to death about fire.
Sure.
And that's why I asked.
And we had them feather mattresses them days too. You lay in it and you sink right down, and the mattress coming halfway over each side of you.
That kept you warm in the winter?
Oh yeah. I think that's most of the reason why they had it.
But you also had the bricks that you used to keep warm?
Oh, yeah. And Nellie home, they used to heat the iron up. They used to iron the clothes with.
Yeah.
He'd put the iron on the kitchen stove maybe an hour or so before they went on the bed. Then they'd bring that upstairs and put it in the covers.
Stayed cozy. And you still didn't have fires. Thank
No, we
God.
didn't. No.
Because that would have been a long trip down from Mount Kisco. What was the road like to Mount Kisco?
Well,
White powder?
no.
That was asphalt?
I remember when they first resurfaced this road. I remember, I think, one of the fellows, one of the employees on the job, I think the steamroller ran over him, killed him up here. That I don't know why that sticks in my mind, but it often comes in my mind every once in a while. They would lay in some kind of stuff on the road, and then they used a big steamroller to roll that I can remember, because we used to go to Wampus Pond fishing a lot. We used to walk up there, go fishing. Well, I'll tell you, sometimes in the wintertime, after the winter, the roads them days I think was a lot better than this 128 to Mount Kisco now, when they all break up. A lot of times Nellie and I go 684 instead of going that road. It ain't too bad now. They patched up a little bit now, I guess. We came down yesterday, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Let's stop. I think we've taken a lot of your time.
I got all
memories
day.
today.
I got all day.
What I want to do, I'll tell you, is look through my questions and see what else I'd like to ask you and come back another day, just like I did with Nellie. And meanwhile, I could tell you the last question I asked Nellie that I should have let her think about ahead of time, which was, what's the oldest story you can remember? Or the one that sounds perhaps like it's most different from the way life would be today.
You see, it's a funny thing. When you're out in the yard or you have a little party in the back or cook out in the summertime, you can stand out there, you can tell anybody the stories. They come in your mind one after the other. But sitting here and you ask me a question.
That's why I'm asking you ahead of time.
You think it would ever come in your mind? I mean, the story.
I know exactly what you're saying, and that's the problem with taping. But if you can think of some of them, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and jot yourself a note, then I can get some of those stories from you, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Sure.
I know one thing. I look at this that I didn't ask you, what subjects you took in school. I assume it was reading, writing, arithmetic.
Subject.
Yeah, what you study.
I like I say, they made special books for us, big letters and everything.
They did have the big
And
letter
the kids
books.
made fun of us too.
Kids can be very awful.
And kids that called me Four Eyes, every one of them was wearing a pair of glasses. And
Where'd you get your glasses?
We went to a place in White Plains on Main Street, and Nicholas they called me, and they couldn't help me. We used to go. You could see the white of our eyes. We were born that way. Two of us had 11 kids. Nervous dystigmatism they call it. And they always claimed that as you grow older, you either get worse or you get better. Well, my eyes today, here's a pair of glasses I'm wearing right now, and I didn't have to change it within 18 years already. the vision holds. It doesn't gain and it doesn't lose.
Your glasses don't look that thick to me. Where,
Okay.
considering what trouble you had when you were a kid, I would think that
So, and then we
they'd really look
changed when we
thick.
went to Portchester. A fellow bought out Leeds by the name of Emerson. And I've been there over 30 years. I've been going down there every since. The first couple of years, he brought my eyesight 2 to 4% better. So it never changed. It never changed. It was still going terrific.
And you got to Portchester with that old car your dad had.
Trolley was running that time too.
Where'd the trolley run?
The trolley ran, I don't know about Portchester, but the trolley ran from White Plains, I think my dad said, into Mamaroneck.
Oh.
I'm not sure now.
But not from, there was no trolley up here.
No.
Up here it was that bus that you told us
trolley
about.
you had, like I walked the bench for, was 2 feet.
Yeah.
And, well, I ain't sorry I walked that far.
No, I don't think it hurt you one bit.
On the way, I used to walk over, but on the way back I used to run part of the way. It was
Trolley
dark.
was healthier.
It was dark and drizzly coming home alone. And they had the old fire whistle down here.
Yeah.
And maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, that fire whistle would go off. And everybody around the hill on Banksville Road, only a few people, not like it is today. No, I could count the houses from here to Banksville on my fingers, on one hand. When I used to go with Nellie back in 36, and near the end of 36. But now you wouldn't be afraid to walk over there because there's a house every 50 feet.
How many houses, whose houses do you remember?
Well, I remember old lady Bennett, Marge Bennett just passed on, her mother. That was the top of the hill before you get down that big hill on Banksville Road. Just in a little ways off 22, around the bend.
Oh, yes.
There was
Okay, I know what you're
like an old farmhouse sits
Yeah.
there on the rock.
Got it.
That lady used to, her mother, the one that just passed away, a lot of people used to get stuck out of gas on that road. Willis for one of them. So she called us in one time. I went in one time to ask her to use the phone.
Yeah.
Call
She
my
had a
brother.
phone.
Yeah, see if I can get a hold of my brother's downtown here someplace. And she said, now listen, there's a gallon can in the garage. You used to have a garage across the street from that house. And the door is always open. But when you take it, if you ever need it, you take it, put it in your car, take the can and refill it and put it back. Not only me, but a lot of people used to get stuck on that road, and that gas tank can was never empty.
That's terrific.
A lot of people would take the can, fill it up, and throw the can away. The hell with her. They'd say,
But they didn't.
Nope, they didn't.
So Marjorie Bennett, and then her mother, actually.
Yeah.
And then, who else?
Let's see, down the hill there was people by the name of Edgar, John Light's house.
Where's that?
On Banksville Road. His house,
This is past Marge's house?
pardon?
This is past Marge's house. We're talking about Marge Dennison, by the way?
Well, down below her house.
Yeah.
From her house down, right down below her house on the right-hand side, there's a house. People used to be in there by the name of Edgar.
Is that before Gifford's Pond?
Yes, way up the hill this side of Gifford Park. Now, you didn't come no more houses either side of the street until you went halfway up the hill. Gifford's caretaker, Paul Kirk, he used to live in there.
On the right.
Now you didn't meet no more houses till you got up and made your left on Round Hill Road, way down where Tavilazzi owns now, across the street. They used to be a big place in
There's
there.
a white farmhouse type thing there now. Was it a
Across the street from Tavilazzi?
Yeah.
Well, Tavilazzi house wasn't there. Just this house across the street was there. And that fellow used to live there. He was a liquor ABC board man. And he drank more booze than any boy in Westchester County or the United States of America.
Do you remember or want to give us his name?
George, what the hell was his? Nellie, I bet you Nellie knows. And I used to mow his lawn for him on a night after work. I'd go out there and mow his lawn.
How'd you get for that?
Well, after I was married.
Yeah, how much money did you get for that?
Sometimes he didn't get any. He forgot to pay me.
Oh, terrific. When he remembered to pay you.
Well, Willis didn't mow. Willis forgot to mow his lawn a couple of times, too. I didn't go. He paid me next week. Next week it never came yet for the last time I mowed it. That was a long time ago, way back.
Yeah.
And then down past that, then the nearest one come would be Ralph Sulo.
Okay, that's
In other words, there were no houses in between them till you got to Ralph Sulo.
which is almost at the Greenwich Road.
Almost top the hill from Greenwich Road, from
Right.
Fred's Nursery. And then Ralph Sulo, at that time he didn't own it either, or did he? Yeah, he did it. He owned it when I was expert. Yeah, he did. But there used to be a fellow in there. Oh, he had a house in the back to rent it. He used to rent it to a man. And it used to
Behind
be-
Ralph's house?
Yeah, behind Ralph's house. And there again, there used to be a chicken farm up in there years back. And then he remodeled it. Ralph remodeled it a little bit, and then he rented it. So the guy, I'll tell you the story about the cemetery. So the guy who used to take care of the cemetery, Middle Patton, that is, they caught him one time. The undertakers come bring the body in, leave him on the device, and leave.
Yeah.
This guy lived in back of Ralph Sulo's. This is no lie. This is honest truth. He'd steal the pine boxes, or take them out of the coffin. No, this is exactly how it was. Take them out of the coffin, put them in the pine box, put the coffin down in that little office they got in Middle Patton Cemetery. There's a little basement down underneath,
Yeah.
and resell them. And they caught him. This is why an undertaker now stays until the body is lowered. Now you think I'm not kidding you one bit. This is
I've
honest.
often wondered why someone has to watch the body. I guess I'm learning.
This happened in Middle Patton Cemetery.
Terrific.
I don't know what they ever did to the guy. They should have hung him, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
But that takes an awful lot of nerve. I'd be afraid of the body. I wouldn't even know. No, I don't know. No,
Okay, now we turn to, well, we're past Ralph Sulo and we turn into Banksville. How many houses along that road?
all Banksville, just Troy's Nursery.
Was it a nursery?
Oh yeah, I worked in that nursery myself
When did you work there?
back in 1936 after I left the dog kennel. 50 cents an hour. And the boss was over every 5
Well, that's
minutes.
$20 a week if you work 40 hours
Every any day come, you sent you home.
and you didn't earn.
And you had a boss over every 5 minutes,
What were you doing there?
digging trees. And no matter where you put a shovel, you hit a rock over there.
I'm
Well,
sure.
that's one job, Marguerite, I swear to goodness, that I hated to do. Many a time I went to the entrance and I wouldn't pull in. I'd ride on down to Banksville, hoping I'd find another better job. That was the miserable job I ever had in my life. And at home here, I don't mind digging around, Paul, but over there, every time you put a shovel in the ground, then you had that old guy with the pipe sticking out of his mouth. He'd come and wash you all day long. For 50 cents an hour, they wanted blood.
So there's Troy's nursery and then?
And across the street used to be the boss's house up on that little hill there.
Yeah, there's still a house up there.
Now there was no more coming till you got down around the bend opposite the new developments going up in there. That little cottage out there, that belonged to Troy's. His foreman stayed in there.
Uh-huh.
And the old house is falling down now. That was there. And right across the street, there was another old shack. These is old. The old house is over there now, next to that little bungalow. That's ready to cave. I wouldn't even dare to go in there. That's ready to cave in, unless somebody's remodeled it. And then you didn't get no more until you got down Roundhouse Road.
And then there were lots of houses because that was the
Roundhouse
center of
Road was, I imagine, almost as many there then as there is now, unless there've been quite a few. Oh, on the far end, I guess they built quite a few new ones. Now, what was the name of that feller that lived? He was a ABC board man. I know his first name was George. I'm not a...
Oh, yes, he is. You can ask Nellie later.
Anyhow.
She's being so good.
Anyhow, what was his name?
Well, we'll stop for now.
Willis.